Hi and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Friday, August 27th, 2021, and today's topic is called SKYTIME, Oceans of Objects. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening August 22nd through the 26th, 2021. And here is a little bit of a different color scheme and an alternate cover slide that I was toying with. See which one you like the best. They both have a little bit of a different mood to them. All right, now before we get into sky observations, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, kedu, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, tien dobre, konnichiwa, dobrohonya, annyeonghaseyo, botarji, dorbidan, aloha winala, kalimera, guten dag, and good day. And today's starter image is once again combined with the Words Wisdom Spirit of the Day page, and this time I drew a couple of cards again from the Good Tarot deck, just for fun. And on the right hand side we have the World card with the number 21, and on the left we have 8 of Water. Now number 21, I'm just going to read it straight up from the slide if you want to follow along. Number 21 suggests that there may be some new opportunities or directions for you to take that will lead you in new and exciting directions. Trust that your angels are by your side throughout these changes and transitions and are guiding your every step. They encourage you to remain calm, balanced, and happy, and you will find that all will work out for your highest good. Now that's an excerpt from a site called Numbers Joanne Sacred Scribes, a site out of Australia. If you're interested in meanings of numbers, a lot of people see repeating 1111s or 555, 222, 444, things of that nature. If you're curious about what that means, I think that's a great reference. Go check that out. You'll get some nice spiritual, metaphysical, etc. meanings from there. Now, I'm just going to touch on these cards a little bit, just to bring out whatever comes to mind. Always when I draw these cards, a ton of things flood in, and then by the time I record this, yet other things flood in, meanings and symbolisms about these things. So we'll just see what comes up for now on the fly here. So right away, before I even started to record this show, I spilled a whole bunch of coffee on myself. So it's kind of keeping in with this theme of water. And in that case, water in the coffee as breakfast. But there's also an interesting thing about the word breakfast and breaking the fast. It reminds me of looking at this scene of this figure looking out over the water and the concept of breakwater. So breakwater is just a barrier island or something put out in the water to shield or protect a coast or harbor from the force of waves coming in. And so anyway, I think I was the breakwater for my breakfast coffee. Anyhow, we're going to look at these because there's a lot of interesting things going on here. So let's see where to start. I think I'll start on the left-hand side this time. So we've got this figure looking out over the water now. Is this person longingly looking for the return of the ship and the people on it, or is this figure just kind of watching and protecting the coast? This is all a matter of perception and how we're looking at things, not only here on the Earth, but here we're zooming out into the cosmos with the World card as well. And so in this case, you can look at it also this way, that where is your feeling of power and security? Now this person may say, okay, well, I'm on the land and I've got all my treasure right here. Why would anybody go off and explore anywhere else? Don't they know that the treasure is wherever you are? In this case right here, why are they going off and looking for something? And the people on the ship could say, well, why are you just standing on land having no adventure and the very predictable? For us, life is the unpredictable, and meeting each day with something new happening, or at least something unpredictable. And so how are you going to look at it? I think there's a time and place for both. And anyway, there's also a sense of, if you're out on the seas, you can run into a maelstrom, right? That can be a whirlpool literally in the water, or just in general, it symbolizes a situation or state of confusion, or confused movement, violent turmoil. So in the world, when we look back over here in conjunction with the two cards, yeah, we're having a lot of turmoil going on in the world, or seeming chaos. And that is necessary to bring us back to a balance of calmer seas. And by the contrast, we're all learning so much through that. And if you're a seasoned sailor, you're going to know how to navigate around or otherwise, deal with a maelstrom because you've seen it before, you've dealt with it. If you're brand new on that ship, you might not know what to do and panic a bit. And so that's what I think a lot of us are going through right now too. A lot of this turmoil is very new for many. For others, it's not. And either way, we all handle it in our own way, learn a ton of things through it, and keep moving forward. There was one other thing I wanted to mention too, maybe a couple of things. But it also reminds me of the concept of where do you feel comfortable? What are you anchoring into? Some people feel totally at home on the water. Others feel, so at home on land, obviously. And, where do you feel comfortable? And also it depends on what's in your chart. So your natal chart or your birth chart astrologically. I like to call it your stars chart. But you have a sun sign, a rising sign, and a moon sign. And if you're not already familiar with those concepts, I invite you to do a little digging on your own and find out what sign you are for those three key areas: sun sign, rising sign, moon sign. And if you find out what those are, then you can further translate those not only from your constellations to, are you an earth, water, fire, air sign, or do you resonate more with like the ether or spirit? Like, do you feel comfortable on earth, or in water? Do you feel better when you're around fire, or up in the air? But you may also feel like you click more with some type of spirit animal, which is like otherworldly, and in the spirit and the ethers. So anyway, for my personal, I feel best on land, and that is heavily in my chart. Again, there are others that just feel so at home swimming in the water and the sea. And that again also, guides strongly whether you feel, more of the homebody type or the adventurer, and there's nothing wrong with each one. Now, when we look over to the world card, it's very interesting because not only do we see that this could be a representation of the sun, this could be like Mercury, Venus, Earth, and then going out further, or this could be different stages of the planet's evolution and ascension. This could mean a lot of things. What also this reminds me of is something that came to my attention just the other day. Someone was showing me, we were talking about graphic design and how some of the, I don't want to give anyone particular credit, but you'll know what I mean if you look at just the icons, the graphic icon for some of these internet search platforms. And in a kind of a disturbing, to me anyway, trend is that they're going from a lot of detail, and I'll just mention this in general, so a lot of you will know what I'm talking about though. There's actually a depiction of the earth, and then there's a fox swirling around it. And if you look back in time, there's a lot of detail in the fox and on the earth. And then when we get to right now, everything's stripped away, all the detail. It's all reduced down to like no facial characteristics. Everything is just blended totally out. And that's also a disturbing trend too, with the stripping away of all humanity and human-like characteristics from icons and graphics these days. I'm anxious to see what's going to happen with the emojis even. If you get my meaning with these, I will say the word ridiculous, scamdemic, even those icons showing people covering their faces, again, in my view, very strong view unnecessarily and ridiculously, but they're, stripping away the features of the eyes, the nose, nothing about those is human. So I'm not on board with that. Actually, in my world, there's going to be beautiful detail, looking at people and places and things. What's interesting here too is look at the robe on this person. We don't know if it's male or female, but we've got like this trim, and it reminds me of what's going on the edge of this card. And then here too, that we've got like a circular element, which reminds me of, tying back into some of these things. Now we've got a lock, and which it's kind of odd that is sitting on the quote-unquote sun. Looking in my world of the sky observations, to me, I just chuckle because to me, this looks like the artificial solar tech that is the key to illuminating the artificial sun or solar simulator. Have a look at that concept around on YouTube, at other Earth and Sky watching channels, and also some of my previous shows. But anyway, it's also can represent on another sense, just unlocking higher concepts or new ideas, or kind of these aha light bulb moments, represented here. But again, I invite you, as always, take a look at all of this on your own. See what this all evokes in you, and have fun with it. So, question of the day: are you a happy water baby, or are you a land lubber? Anyway, let's continue on. All right, so now we're going to get to the sky observations portion of the show. And if you're new or returning, as always, I extend a heartfelt thanks for being here and stopping by. And if you are returning, when you get the chance, you may want to just skip over this bit. If you're new, I'm just going to cover just some of the very basics of what I'm doing here on this site, on this channel. And if you want to know more in detail, have a look at some of my earlier shows, because I do give a lengthy description of what I'm doing in the beginning on the intro of those shows. Anyway, if you're new, all I do is go around wherever I am, looking up in the skies of Miami, Florida typically, and I just document, just take some pictures with a camera phone of what I'm seeing. And I'm noting a lot of strangeness going on, anomalies, things that just have not been appearing in our skies until very recently, intensely so in the last 3 years, but obviously longer, far longer beyond that. I first started noticing some really strange things back in 2014, but really didn't pay extra close attention until 2018, until now. But anyway, I take some pictures, and then I'm going to have what's called original photo, as you see here, and then I'm going to show an enhanced version. And enhanced simply means I've taken the photo and edited attributes of it, such as color saturation, brightness, contrast, and that's really about it. So I just take the levels up a little or down a little, and then bam, you just see a whole new world of things happening up in the skies, because the camera phones, this newer tech, gives us a much vaster range of photo and light sensitivity than our human eye. Although I will say that a lot of times when I take these pictures, there's just something seems or feels off. So I'm really keying into the intuition and into that spidey sense, if you will, or that third eye kind of connection, that just something feels a little bit odd. Not that it's bad, just different. So anyway, you'll see in the lower right-hand corner I put strange cloud activity in quotes. That simply means that I'm talking about cloud being artificial, of artificial type, and more often than not, a cloaking material for craft going on up in the sky. Now again, I'm going to invite you to look at my other shows to see what I mean by craft. But anyway, let's get into this, and a lot of stuff will be like self-explanatory and revealed. Okay, so in this case, I also drop in some letters to better kind of keep the focus on the highlights. It's just going to be things that jump out at me right away when I see them in a photo. There are going to be some photos or images where there's so much going on as far as cloaking and strange activity that I just can't get to it all. So I may only touch on one of many letters, for example, and I invite you to take your own time on your leisure and just really look and see what else you might find. And as always, if you see something different than me, I'm just presenting what I see from the perspective of a heavy, intense, technical background for decades, also artistic and cultural experiences and metaphysical experiences. But you see what you see, and if you see something different, that's great. And if you feel like it, let me know in the comments section below what you're seeing, whether it's based on logic or just fun cloud play, like fantastical, imagination-wise, what you see. All right, I think that's it. Hang on one second. Okay, all that said, let's get going. So right now, this is looking to the west toward the evening, and I just see some obviously strange cloud activity upon other strange, quote-unquote, sun activity. So, and overall consistency of the sky. So there's a whole lot of artificial cloud at work here. So this is clearly an artificial installation. Now, when I say artificial, it can be, yes, human-made, man-made, in the vein of controlling the weather, geoengineering, or it also could be something of ET, advanced tech origin, and there can be a lot of cloaking craft riddled in here. When I'm talking about ET craft, I'm talking about something that's 3D. You can walk up and touch it, knock on it theoretically, or it could be something very interdimensional, very ephemeral, or something like air elementals, things that, or sky wisps that just come in that are very mysterious, very otherworldly, supernatural, or something 3D phasing in and or out of state. So that's what I'm referring to there. Now, back to this. So I am talking about the concept of a solar simulator or artificial sun, because this is just extremely white. And this tends to get really big and like a big glare out one moment, and then like reduces down really small the next. So that's not our typical original sun. Our original sun of decades past was just a light yellow, lightly pulsing, had a very healing light quality to it. This is glaring and intense, and the sun coming off of this, the heat coming off of this, and the rays, the light rays are very burning, like in a more of a microwave radiation feel. I actually got burned. I have the earlier show I posted called Uncharted, where it's been like a very long time since I've been out on a boat in the bay or ocean. And I did go, and a long time since I've gotten a sunburn even, because I do not like this artificial sun effect. And man, I got burned, and I really felt that radiation. It's like, if you have experience with a microwave, it's like if you have a mug of water in there that's boiled and you grab it too soon with your bare hand, and it's a radiation field that like burns down to the bones. Very different than if you get burned by something like on a stove or something. Anyway, enough about that. But we've got this like artificial feeling sun going on back here with this other artificial kind of veiling stuff of a weird consistency masking out that quote-unquote sun. And then in front of it, on top of all of that, we have this other weird consistency. This is not a cumulus cloud. You can't even call this a cloud type categorized of decades past, nothing typical about it. But anyway, you have this thing too coming in front of it, and it's ever expanding out in this weird little spike, and things are flaring up here. The whole scene is just bizarre. Then we get some details, some stuff popping up here that looks like it has structure and shadow to it. The overall scene is strange. So we're going to look at it with some enhancement, and in this case, sometimes I highlight this area, but with this enhancement, I'm just getting at what's going on here with the quote-unquote sun. And I see like two objects popping up. So we got 8.1, we got a lighter signature here, and then something that looks like it definitely has a shape, symmetrical shape to it floating out over here. I know this is going to look a little bitmappy and grainy if you've got it up on a bigger screen. I think if it's on a handheld device a little bit smaller, you should be able to pick out these two elements a little bit better. All right, then we're going to shift our attention over to the south, and I just noticed this, not only this weird pattern going on in the background, which I like to call it staccato cloud. It's fuzzy and choppy to the human eye, and yet everything else is, clear and focused to the human eye. And to me, that's something up above causing this disturbance locally in the atmosphere. And again, I'm going to say it's either one larger craft or some other multiple, cloaked craft up above. Now here I just started to notice this darker, assembly, which looked like two different objects to me, to the human eye. They're all by themselves, extremely low in the atmosphere, do not match anything else going around it. So of course, it kind of really stood out. So with enhancement, this is the alternate cover slide I had going on. Look at this. So it's definitely, to me, two objects. This looks like kind of like a, not an arrowhead, but what I want to say, like a dart. We've got it coming kind of to a point. It's a little truncated with like two legs in the back, but it looks like it has plasma or cloaking material wafting in front of it. And I forgot to mention so early on that plasma is going to be my go-to just to refer to whatever this cloaking material is. Simply means something heavier than water vapor that hangs around for a long time in the sky. And then it looks like there's a stick connecting to this thing. So this looks like a very different object with like the point being here and like a rounded back to this triangular form. So is this all one object or two different ones like docking together in some strange way? I'm not sure. I'm calling it out as two objects. See what you think. All right, then we get, this was a really bizarre sky. I really haven't seen one like this before, where not only is it choppy and fuzzy in the staccato effect, but it's just extra fuzzy and choppy. It's just so strange. And then, yeah, we have this like weird cloud. It's not even a cloud. It's like disintegrating, loosely put together. That's not a cumulus cloud once again, or any other known, cloud of decades past. So this was just an overall strange scene. There might be some sky imprints going on in the background. If you want to know what I mean by that, look at some of my previous shows. This is a much darker object. Could be a cloaking craft above. See what you think. Here's more of this fuzzy choppiness, but on top of it, highlights of like some bright light source in here, which is not the sun. It looks like a localized generated light source. So we look to the right with enhancement, and I'm still going to say that's got to be some type of cloaking craft generating its own luminosity. And there's something doing it back here as well in a very different way. And this looks like cloaking happening in a very different way too, because we get a core of something and then some stuff breaking out, but still looks like it's holding an overall form at C.1. B.1, that might be a standalone object, hard to say, or, could be a part of this bigger thing. We got weird color signature happening in here too. There's just a lot of high strangeness. And then we got something with a perfect curve down here below, and so I'm going to say that's also a cloaking craft beyond. Then we're going to look at this scene at sunrise. I finally got to get to some more sunrises lately. I've been doing mostly sunsets or later in the afternoons. But here we go. This was just overall strange because we're starting to get what looks like a solar simulator effect with a bright white glare out of a quote-unquote sun coming up. We've got warmer color signatures going on beyond. But look at this. Right away, this B element caught my attention because we have a straight line like a triangular point here, and then a curve right next to it at C, this notch out. It was just all very strange. So when we look at the right-hand side, not only do we have a triangular form here, darker form here at 8.1, we have this weird little chunk happening over here too, going vertical, mind you, while this is going horizontal. And once again, the air was like dead still. But even if we had a breeze rolling along, there's no way that we would have something going more vertical and then going horizontal at the same time. And then this on angle, is a perfect symmetrical triangular form. Also doesn't happen in natural cloud systems, nor does this at B.1. Anyway, long story short, what is going on here? So is this a positive, like a mass, like jutting out as a triangle? Or are we just seeing the after effects of this notch out coming in with a perfect curve? That I'm on the fence a little bit with, but I do see here the more I look at it, this seems like an overall object to me, like that would be the front or bow of a boat. We've got some very interesting pronounced elements, sticking out toward us, like three little points, look like cones, like heading toward us. And there's something strange happening here beyond all this weird little texture. So we're going to look at this, zooming in even more with some more enhancement. And here's that round element, so again, to me this looks like it has intelligent design to it because it has designed elements in there, has perfect symmetry. What's going on here, I'm not exactly sure, but that does not look like typical cloud. Okay, then we're going to look up a little bit toward the south. And again, is it a coincidence that we just have this weird stuff, again, artificial cloud material, right over this quote-unquote sun? Okay, this is not an artificial sun. Artificial, glaring, white, just crazy, hot and heat and coming off of it in a different way. We've got, this is just a lens flare. Now, what caught my attention in this scene, not only was this just odd that this is one little installation of cloud just parks right over here, nowhere else in the sky, just a little obvious wink wink. But look at this. So I start to see what looks like a chemtrail. Now this line here is the chemtrail or chemical trail or, chemical filled trail. Look at my previous shows. You'll learn plenty about that if you don't know about it already. But, it had like a break in it. So it actually was like two trails. I couldn't get a good shot of it. This actually is continuing up here. And the weird thing about it was I couldn't see what craft made it at this point or this point. It just seemed to stop right here. Anyway, see what you think is going on. Then we get a hint of a triangular shape of a sky imprint. So let's look here. See point 1? That's symmetrical once again. It's like a rounded point on this triangular form. Then we're looking at this. It still pops out really pronounced, this chemtrail. Again, nothing happens in natural cloud systems. It's a straight line like that, like you just picked up a pen and drew it. Anyway, let's keep going. Then we're going to zoom in on that trail. Again, I couldn't get to the split aspect because I saw a clean split in it, again, with no craft at either end apparent. And then it really dissipated really fast. Not dissipated, but it merged together really fast. And then what happens with these things is they spread and they grow outside to side, and they create all of this white masking stuff, and then you can't even see the blue sky anymore. All right, now we're going to shift gears, going into a park and looking up. Oh, wait, not the park yet, sorry. Looking in a different direction at the sky, southeast, and then we just see this weird, other different kind of cloud, and to me this is more of the supernatural type. This is not the artificially either man or ET created type, and to me this is more like the concept of air elementals of sky wisps, where these things kind of come in, kind of like they come in to save the day, and they tend to sweep out or wipe out some of the chemtrails I've noticed. So it's a very interesting relationship, and if you notice chemtrails, be on the lookout if there's some of these wisps in the sky on that given day, because you'll see they tend to move in and they start to wipe out the trails. It's pretty amazing. So I gotta believe that these are like our little friendly helpers and our cleanup on aisle 1 type things, where they come in and clean up the mess. I hope that's the case. All right, now here's with some enhancement, and we just see some interesting structure within these things. This does look a little organized, even though it looks very loose and natural. See if you see anything in there. All right, now we're looking at the park with kind of similar sky wisp and air elemental phenomenon. And here we've got kind of like a pair going on here. And we have something else happening over here at sea. And of course something lower happening overall here. Just looks very interesting. It felt very positive, whatever was going on. And here it is with some enhancement. And we see there's more than meets the eye. We've got something happening back here. And something with structure in it happening here and symmetry. Look, it almost looks like the top of a heart. Kind of open at the bottom, very pretty. So that could be a craft coming in, I'm not sure. Or another one, a supernatural one of these things. Hard to say, but what's going on here? We've got these cutouts. This is looking pretty interesting as a form. I'm not sure. See what you think is going on in the scene. Oh, also we get all this texture. So are we looking at the top of a cloaking craft, a big one happening in here? I think we might be. This could be the top deck with things happening on it, an interesting way of cloaking. Again, see what you think about all of this. We're going to zoom in on those two little figures, look at it with some enhancement. This is what we get. Again, very fascinating. See what you think this is. Then this gets interesting. We're looking east, and I just noticed, and it was kind of getting dark, but toward a sunset looking east, not west. And I just noticed these two figures, and this one at B has a very smooth curve all the way here. They're both on angle, seemingly parallel. And again, they stood out from everything else happening around them. So to me, these two are cloaking craft. Now it's going to be a little weird on the enhancement here because it was so dim with the lighting. This is the best the camera could do, but look at this. We see clearly two different heat signatures, or whatever signatures this is, energy signatures, not happening anywhere else around. So we get the red pinks and warm glow. And do look at my description box below at what could be causing the red pink color. Anyway, there's also another element happening back here where my cursor is. It's a straight line, kind of adjoining this thing, or it's in the background, I can't tell. So anytime we have a straight line going seemingly at the general same angle as these things, I'm going to say that's some type of artificial craft, something happening beyond. And what's interesting is we have something looming in the background too that's dead level. So again, when you have different objects, no matter what they are, going off on angle this way while another one is still coming straight across or going straight up in the same vicinity, you're dealing with something more than just a natural cloud system blowing over. Now we're going to look back over to the west, and I just started seeing strange quote-unquote cloud activity, highly suspect that this is all cloak and craft, and there's also some craft that has a very kind of bioorganism aspect to it. And I don't know if some of these craft are designed to, or they're just very organic in nature with their materials, or they're designed to look like bioorganisms or something, or if they actually are some type of living organism in the cosmos. That could be too, that we're just now seeing in our atmosphere these days. See what you think about that. All right, so now with some enhancement, this is definitely more solid than everything going on around it. Look at these two sharp peaks, these are, and in the void, that's a triangle going back this way. So triangular form in the profile. Again, no natural cloud does that. And then we have something echoing beyond. So I think this is part of a larger one object, where this is one like prong going out and here's another. They're parallel. And so I think that's one object with just some stuff with heavier cloak and veiling coming in front of it. We have another object here at 8.1, kind of hidden in this veiling stuff. This actually looks like two holes at the end of some type of flute, something coming toward us. And then, what else? Something here too, this is really odd as well. So I'm suspecting that all of that's cloak and craft. And then we're going to look at this, over to, oh, I'm sorry, this is west, this is to the north. But we look at this, it's trying to be a typical cumulus cloud, but it's not. Again, the consistency and the shape and the form of this is not like a cumulus cloud of the past. It's also insanely low in the sky. Then we have this weird strip coming here, curved at E. We have this weird form going on down here at D and C. There's something straight and something happening at A. There's weird stuff going all over this photo. So let's see with some enhancement. And, we see more object-looking things popping out at 8.1 that look like they have intelligent design. So I'm going to say that's definitely a craft. We got this, it's got dimension and shadow happening on whatever that element is. And something happening here, like a weird pointed elliptical form. And then C.1, what is this? D.1, what is that? And again, look at E.1, bam, coming up vertical. So once again, we don't have that in a natural cloud system. I'm calling all of those things cloak and craft. We're going to zoom in on E2, that weird little, slice out whatever this thing is, and this little piece over here. So we're going to look at it with some enhancement, and look, this is definitely something of solidity. So again, I'm calling that cloak and craft in a way we don't understand. Something else has happened back in here. What is this thing? I think that's part of a different craft happening over here. Then we're going to look to the right-hand side of what we were just looking at, that whole overall cloud business. To the right would be toward the east. Now, look at this. Everything else is doing something else vertical, and then this stuff is coming in, looks like craft, with the craft behind it to me. Let's see what we've got with enhancement, extreme enhancement, and you can really see it, To me, this is a craft, and this is either a component of it or a different craft or object coming up to it. And again, see what you think, but we got a whole lot of strangeness going on. Even this, even though it's kind of weird and hard to follow, we got like a wafting material coming over it. And then what is this up here? This is some kind of object or multiple objects. See what you think. All right, now we're back to, these are, I think, the same forms that we looked at earlier, but now they've moved from the east part of the sky over to the south, and in a pair, so that's very telling as well. At the same angle, whatever is going on, it's at the same angle when nothing else is at that angle in the sky right around it. Then we have also a very bright, local, kind of ethereal light signature happening right above it, which I do think is also connected with some type of cloak and craft. In this case, there seem to be little objects in the background of this veiled heavy stuff going on in the sky. This veiling, whatever element that is, whatever material. And then look at this. So we've got a straight line, and this is coming down. We've got like a weird object happening here. So I don't know if this is all one thing or if this is like a craft perched on some type of other craft. And I really am at kind of at a mystery, at a loss of words, what's going on down here. But I got to say, it's artificially created. And again, has its own energy signatures clearly shown here, which is a little bit of a tweaking on the color saturation and brightness and contrast. Just a little bit. We see all of this stuff. Then this gets exciting. This is in the same vicinity of where those two objects were. And now, we're looking south, and look at this. Just to the naked eye, you just see these, petals or blade-like things popping up out of here, these darker colors. And then we just see, much warmer tones happening here to the dead south. This is not to the west, and this isn't just picking up rays coming off of a sunset, to the west. This almost, maybe partially, but it also is generating its own color signature by evidence of look how it's catching up here. It's going straight up here, and yet, nothing else is. And we got these darker strands or streams or rays, shadow rays going up. It's just all very bizarre. And then we have something coming dead level at C.1. That's what really makes all of it extra strange. So let's look at that a little bit closer. We're looking at this overall. We'll just kind of spend time over in this area and look at it with enhancement. This is what we get. So this is clearly a totally different animal on its own compared to all of whatever is going on in here. We also have these weird little bits popping up. Things and activity is definitely happening in here, although I don't know exactly what. Actually, this looks like a shadow, a shadowed, you see a straight line here, and with a point here and here, and this is looking like a triangle to me. So there's definitely stuff with intelligence happening all in this, and it's camouflaged very well, whatever it's trying to hide. The camouflaging technique here is excellent. All right, now we're looking at a panorama, and we're looking west. And so to the left is more toward the south, and that's all that stuff we were looking at. Look at this red signature. Now, if this is due west, which it is, and this is northwest, where the sun has, quote-unquote, sun has been setting off here, more or less, not true west, why the heck is all of this pure white? And then we got all the red, warm color signature happening over here if this is a typical sunset. The answer is it's not. We've got something weird and suspect of craft-like activity happening here, too, based on the color signature. This thing, too. So see what you think's going on there. All right, we're looking east this time. Still, this time it's in the morning. And not only was this overall shape strange, the angle of it, once again, strange when other things are kind of coming off more or less horizontal or in groups, more horizontal. But look what we have going on at A, this fuzz out. It's going off on this angle, and something weird happening over here, too. And look at this burst of energy moving up. So let's look to the right-hand side at the enhanced version. Note the color signatures. We've got a wall blanket of artificial cloud popping up right over where the sun would come up. So again, you can't see the effect of our golden natural sun coming up, because then it turns immediately into the solar simulator, this white blur out that masks in front of the sun, hides our true visibility of the golden, sun. I covered that on other shows too. And we get this wall out artificial cloud effect happening at sunrises and sunsets, so you can't see what's happening, the interplay between our natural sun and this artificial simulator, solar simulator going on, sun simulator. Anyway, we're back to this C element. We've got this weird shaped cloud, which I'm going to say is a cloaking craft. We've got this weird movement coming up, something else happening here. We're going to zoom in on this area soon. Again, now we see a clear body of whatever this fuzz out is. Again, I call that staccato cloud effect. I presume there's cloaking craft all up in here, creating this choppiness via electromagnetic wave activity, or other some kind of frequency signals pumping out to help cloak what's going on. So anyway, let's look at this again. Again, what is going on with this blur out? Just all very odd. B2, here's that A element. Let's look at all of this with some enhancement. And doesn't get any clearer. Sometimes there are more questions than answers that come up with this stuff when I do the enhancements. But look at this. This is clearly some kind of object with some wafting cloaking material happening over it. What the heck is it, 8.3? Don't know, but I'm going to say it's of intelligent design, and it's cloaking. Same thing with this thing coming back in here. This looks like a triangular form on angle happening back here. And then look at this. This is just so strange. And then we've got red signatures here, the gold, which is presumably the natural sun way down here, the white, presumably the solar simulator effect. But then we also have like purples and blues and, bright white, light blues up here too. There's just a lot of really strange things going on there. And now we get to the fun part. We're going to zoom in on this end where we had that blur out, like what is going on this end of this thing, as if it's not strange enough in its own right. And then this is the best I can get to. It is a little grainy, but something's happening in here to create this notch out. And then we've got this other weird object echoing and following a perfect curve with this. You know, is that like a little appendage craft, or is that part of the overall craft and we're just seeing something wafting, you know, plasma in front of it? Hard to say. Then look at this weird thing. It's got like 1, 2, 3 little sticks popping off of a more circular form. Gotta say, that's a standalone craft of some type. And what the heck is going on over here? Is that a more organic type of craft or organism? Bioorganism? You tell me. Anyway, those are just some possibilities. All right, then we're going to look at a different scene over to the northwest, also in the morning. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. So now we're looking to the northwest, similar time in the morning, and look at, you know, again, to the naked eye, we just have some weird object-looking things going in different directions from each other, some blur outs and stuff. So we're looking to the right-hand side, and it's even more mysterious. So at 8.1, it looks like some type of cloaking craft is looming in the background, being cloaked by a lot of artificial, weird, veiling kind of, you know, haze is the best way I can say it. And look, it looks like a standalone object here at B. Some weird fuzz out, looks like a standalone object also at C. And what the heck is this? It reminds me of like coral in the ocean, but coming off at a totally different angle, totally straight and strange, you know, off of this thing. So I'm going to say there's cloaking craft going on all in here, with some flying by in front. This has even like a trail to it. This, if you look, looks like it burst up out of this mess, because it looks like it has a trail coming up behind this thing. This also looks like something cloaking beyond, so see what you think is happening in there. It's very fascinating. Then we're going to hop back over to the east, and this was that weird, chunky, whatever you want to call it, on angle in the sky. We're going to look to the right end of it, which is heading toward the south, still looking east though. And so we're just looking at a lot of the strangeness going on, strange forms happening with this quote-unquote cloud at D. So we look to the right-hand side, and we see some of this. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that again. Anyway, at B.1, we have a triangular shape here beyond. Here it's echoing here too, the top of a triangle. Another little mini one in there, or it's part of the whole thing with cloaking material coming over it, I'm not sure. Anyway, look at this. We've got a point here. It kind of, you know, comes straight level. Facets down again, straight down. You know, that's got intelligent design to it. D.1 is just strange. I'm not really going to get into that. See if you see anything extra going on in there. I think it's a little too hard to see what might be going on beyond. Okay, then we're going to look at the lower half of that weird thing again. Now we're looking at the overall scene in a different way. A lot of strangeness going on all over the place in this scene. And we look at it with enhancement. We've got that red-pink color signature going on, while we have the bright white intense stuff and the gold stuff below. We still see this. It gets even stranger down here around E.1. Look at this straight stick-like thing coming out, and that little weird element still looks strange. And then we look over here. You know, we've got this thing. This coming down on angle, this looks like it has dimension to it, shadow, looks like a designed element on the side of a craft. Anyway, you know, these blurred out weird things once again at the top. There is so much going on here, and on top of all the staccato cloud, or staccato effect, to me this is a whole bunch of cloaking craft generating these waves to blur out the scene even more. See what you think. And now we'll look at this looking northwest. And this looked strange once again, just kind of was stood out by itself. Just there's no natural, you know, no natural cloud form that you can categorize this as. So we're going to look at it with some enhancement, and we can see why. You know, we've got this weird chunk that looks like it has, you know, darker mass back there with some cloaking material coming over the front of it. And we have like something happening here. We have straight line this way, and yet this is going off this way. Looks like there's a loose connection, like a physical connection between this and this element, whatever's going on in here. Symmetry is here as well. This straight line going back off this way. What the heck is this? Something is coming off this way. And look at this. Looks like we got like the top of a spearhead coming poking up out of whatever's going on here. So once again, no surprise, calling this cloaking craft activity. Alright, well this is the photo of the day and the close of the show, and in keeping with our water-based theme from the beginning, this is a water wheel in northern Florida. I want to thank you for turning your attention over here a while. It is Friday where I'm at. I hope it's the weekend or the kickoff for one, or soon to be for you as well, wherever you are in the world. I send out tremendous peace and love as always, and extra peace and love across the entire world. Right now, I know there's wars and conflicts going on all over the place, and I just want to say that, obviously, if you take out government, global government, if you take out all global government, take out organized religion, take away corrupted money and currency systems, and you just bring it all to the basics of all of us people, a human family across the world, everybody. The go-to is to help each other and to be there for each other. And it's not our instincts is not warring in all of this. Those are games run by others, and right at this point, very dark entities and evil forces inside of every single government. So I just want to say extra peace, love, and an upliftment for the entire world right now. And other than that, have a gorgeous now. And till next time, peace and love. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.